All these not only would be detrimental to me, but would also be attacking the rights of every good practitioner that may be coming across the path of these distorted and inappropriate abusive mechanisms of power, submission and authoritarianism, which regrettably are many times generated by our nation's healthcare system. With tremendous personal effort and sacrifice for me and my family, I have put in evidence the only real reason and purpose for all of these. Subjugate me and oblige me capriciously and in an authoritarian way to an exam in the most unfavorable circumstances that will, most likely and unfairly, be totally detrimental to my career and my person. DOH has generated thus far a most adversarial and inappropriate atmosphere for me to be evaluated. The law should not and cannot be misused and abused the way DOH is doing it. The law should not and cannot be distorted and tweaked so as to intimidate and damage somebody, and even further, doing it speculating with the impunity and the possibility of being covered. The lack of common sense, professionalism, transparency, and the excessive bad faith brought forth by DOH thus far with me for the past 18 pitiful months have generated in me a profound discomfort and lack of peace of mind, anguish, desperation at times, and a complete absence of trust and credibility in them. These make it impossible for me, faced with such adversarial and unfavorable climate, to give myself to them and be submitted to any kind of evaluation in those terms. Such evaluations can only be conducted in a fair and effective way when and only if the minimal and necessary conditions are met, where common sense, good faith and goodwill, professionalism, respect, trust, and a harmonious, cordial, and peaceful environment are present, where a sense of worry, affliction, fear, and desperation are practically non-existent. DOH's motivation and opportunity to act in my detriment is there and has already been in place and actuated upon for 18 months. The true intent behind all these proceedings, the incompatibility and conflict of interest DOH faces, are perfectly established and manifested. DOH is presently accusing me of unprofessional conduct for having refused to comply with a capricious and ill-intended order to submit me to an unjustified and adverse mental evaluation. However, I cannot be accused for disobeying or not accepting an order that is not so, that is not legitimate, an order that lacks fundament and furthermore is totally unnecessary, since this order is supposed to pursue the purpose of quenching doubts if I am crazy or not, and consequently, if I am or not fitted to practice my profession when the reality of the situation has already been clearly established. There is no doubt regarding my perfect and normal psychomental health and my suitability as a professional. Being things this way, I cannot accept to comply with something that does not allow me to believe in or trust, and that I consider neither fair nor necessary. By accepting these, I would be disregarding and disrespecting my rights as a professional, as a person and a citizen. The same way it would be happening to any other victim in equal or similar situations. The whole extent of the disciplinary hearing in the Washington State Department of Health on Friday, April 1st, 2011, was documented by the public with 3 different video cameras capturing each different angles of the room. The 3 of them recorded the whole extent of the hearing simultaneously and uninterrupted when the proceedings were on the record, and this allows to warrant the fidelity of the record of all that took place at the hearing. It is this record, the one I am putting at your disposition in these videos under the title DOH Must Be Held Accountable, Disciplinary Hearing, Washington State Department of Health. As you will be able to see in the video, despite all the efforts made by DOH during the hearing, for the most part, I figured out ways to bring up the core issues that pertain to the case. It is important to note that when I brought up for discussion the conflict of interest DOH faces with my case, the judge tried to shut me down, stating that DOH was not on trial here. What the judge might have failed to note, however, is the fact that DOH is the one who has me on trial for all these issues, for stating and spreading the truth. It seems that for some individuals, authorities and agencies, the truth is itchy and very uncomfortable, to the point that for them the truth is a sin or a bad word, something that must not be brought forth, not even whispered. Let us not even start discussing what the words responsibility, compromise, and true justice may mean to these people. Another of the several curious things to note from the hearing is the fact that the judge did not allow the expert witness I called to the stand to establish the fact that the 4 psychological and psychiatric evaluations that I presented to the Department of Health on December 2009 and that have been thus far neglected fulfill all the characteristics and requirements necessary to be accepted and to establish that my mental health is completely normal. Not to recognize and accept the validity of said evaluations is absurd and a senseless abuse. To these professionals recognized and endorsed by the US medical and legal systems to address and heal ailments related to psychological and mental health. Now, their suitability to establish simple diagnosis is being questioned. I myself can, as a physician, assert to the fact that it is impossible to address and heal health-related issues if one is not first thoroughly versed in those processes that allow accurate diagnosis. If these professionals' diagnosis is not to be recognized by the health system itself, the same one that endorses those practitioners to be out and about treating and curing, then this country's physicians not only are not qualified to make diagnosis, they are not even qualified to treat and cure. It seems that when the health system itself is questioned, those in the system, in an inappropriate fashion, end up invalidating whatever is not convenient, and to the contrary, when it does not correspond, they end up validating whatever is convenient or needed for them to be validated. To the facts just mentioned, it must be added that no genuine reason to even put in doubt my normal mental health and my professional suitability was ever presented. That in my history there have never been any complaints about my professional personal behavior, and that to the contrary, I presented to DOH and to the judge over 30 testimonies from the community, from colleagues, and even from patients that established my impeccable professionalism and even thanked me for such. Lastly, beyond all these reasons and these 4 irrefutable tests, another even more irrefutable evidence is the specific content of this hearing captured in the mentioned video, in which I am conducting myself in a spontaneous way while being disrobed and exposed alone in front of this disciplinary panel, the department lawyers acting against me and the judge, that according to interactions thus far, as I mentioned already, I have my doubts so as to how impartial he may be able to be. My behavior at this hearing, faced with such critical challenge, puts in evidence my spontaneity and my naturalness, the clarity of my ideation and mental control, being able not to waver from my axis. This video puts in evidence my emotional equilibrium and my capacity to overcome limited and uncomfortable situations under pressure such as this one. Shows my mental agility and wit, my coherent thought, process and ability to reason. My capacity for straightforward communication in clear, concise, concrete, and simple fashion demonstrates my capacity to interact intelligently, respectfully, and socially in any kind of circumstances, including an adverse one such as these. Also shows that at all moments I preserve a complete serenity and dominion over my person and my surroundings, and over my connection to reality and the present circumstances. This video, which clearly puts in evidence my demeanor and behavior during the hearing, is far more relevant than any evaluation the best specialists may do. This video concludes at the end of the hearing with the judge expressing the determination that the case will now be delivered by the panelists and supposedly a decision will be reached sometime before May 15. Maybe this deliverance should possibly be better understood and translated as: since for the last 18 months that we have been trying to nail him and we haven't been able to accomplish it, neither have we been able to do it at the pre-hearing conference or at this hearing, we will now deliver on how to try to do it, considering if the cost such misdeed may represent us will justify the further inconveniences we would be able to inflict on him with marginal technical legalities that could come from the forced and inappropriate evaluations we want him to go through. It only rests to wait and see these 30 to 45 days of deliverance to be able to see specifically what they consider deliverance. Even though this is a case in which I am being regrettably and unfairly implicated, due to its reach and depth, this completely transcends my person. Everything that has transpired here is an accurate representation of that which many good and capable people and practitioners have been through and regrettably will continue to suffer. The actual existing and acting distorted and abusive power systems in this fashion end up being detrimental and intimidatory, regrettably again, ultimately silencing their victims. I understand that not all these victims may be able to have the intention, the strength, and or the capacity to challenge and stand up to such reckless and brutal processes. Unless from now on something real and significant takes place. Unless a true and very necessary change starts mounting, this actual existing and acting distorted and abusive power systems will continue being detrimental, intimidating, making suffer and silencing many good and capable people and practitioners. For more comprehensive understanding of all the aspects of this case and to be able to bring better updates and clear communication about the specifics of this case, which is of utmost public interest, we are currently working on opening a website that will be ready shortly. I will facilitate the link for your immediate access for the information and the facts. In the meantime, I will invite you to share the following video obtained at the disciplinary hearing in the Washington State Department of Health on Friday, April 1st, 2011. The original video was divided in the following 5 segments for upload to the web, and in this is included the complete record of the hearing obtained from 2 of the 3 cameras present. The first and second segments include the first part of the hearing and are presented here from camera 1. The third and fourth segment include the second part of the hearing. The first few seconds of the third segment are from camera 2, and the rest is from camera 1. Lastly, the fifth segment includes the third part of the hearing and last, which is presented here from camera 2. Thank you all for accompanying me and sharing your time with me. Please never forget how important and fundamental the support of each one of you is in this long and challenging process. God bless you all. Thank you.